Chapter 5 of Wubs and Cellos. Lyra and Bonbon's home, 2:30 p.m.
And that's when I flew in through the roof and ate all those chocolatey things in your fridge.
Derpy finished telling the story of how she managed to violate the poor refrigerator. All the while, Lyra fought a battle not to swing her foamy weapon at the wall-eyed Pegasus.
That's a wonderful story. Now, why did you eat my bonbons? Oh, well, they look like chocolate muffins,
Derpy replied with a smile, to which Lyra groaned. With a plan formulating in her brain, Lyra silently mused before setting it into motion.
Do you want to play a game?
The green unicorn replied, futilely trying to hide the hatred in her voice.
Oh boy, I love games! What's this one called?
The gray Pegasus said with excitement in her voice, completely oblivious to the hate emanating from Lyra.
It's called Hide and Seek and Pray I Don't Find You.
She finished by springing from her seat and charging at the gray Pegasus. To her great surprise, Derpy quickly responded by jumping from her own seat and flying to the top of the room.
You can't beat me at this game, silly Lyra. Carrot Top and I play this all the time.
Derpy responded casually while somehow walking on the roof upside down. Her wings lay motionless as she trotted around the musician's roof. All the while, Lyra just stared at the Pegasus, awestruck at the feat being performed.
You know what? I'm done for the day. First, I get flung into a tree, then I come home to see you eating my food. I'm done. If you need me, I'll be outside. Screaming at walls seems fun right now.
Finishing her rant, the unicorn slowly trotted out with her head hung low. By the time Lyra had left, Derpy had realized that she had pushed the green unicorn past her edge. With guilt slowly filling the muffin lover's heart, she trotted outside to comfort the angry mare. Before she left, Derpy took a quick glance at the refrigerator. The only object inside was one single, untouched, perfectly clean bonbon. Balancing the chocolate confectionery on her nose, she slowly made her way outside. Outside, where countless ponies still battled with foamy weapons. Ponyville streets, 2:45 p.m.
You dumb piece of bricks, or rocks, or whatever this wall's made of!
Lyra yelled at the poor unfortunate wall that happened to be outside. The fortress of stone simply said nothing, as the green unicorn continued to throw insult after insult at the wall. Mid-rant, Lyra felt an object prodding her shoulder. When she turned around to spew an insult at the offending object, she was met only with a pair of guilt-filled yellow eyes. What truly caught her attention was the single treat that sat on the Pegasus's gray muzzle.
There's one left over if you still want it,
came the guilt-ridden voice from the muzzle the confection was balanced on. As if by magic, all the malice once held in the unicorn's heart melted away by the display of kindness. Even though Derpy did steal the treat, it still brought a fuzzy feeling into Lyra's heart.
Thanks. I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you,
Lyra managed to say before a stream of happy tears began to roll down her green fur. The idea of knowing she would have a single bonbon was enough to satisfy her cravings. As Lyra's tears began to increase, so did her lack of vision. Derpy silently handed the chocolate-covered treat over. A new feature appeared on its cover. On its side, it adorned a bright blue dot. As the treat left Derpy's muzzle, both their eyes seemed to focus on the still visible dot.
Hey, Lyra?
Her voice was no longer guilt-ridden, but held a high curiosity towards the shiny dot.
Not now, Derpy. This is a food I will forever savor until next week.
Lyra's voice was still choppy due to the tears of happiness that freely fell down her face.
But, Lyra,
Derpy's voice whined.
There's a shiny thing, oh...
Her words were in vain, as the chocolatey treat was flung into the air. Closing her eyes, Lyra opened her mouth and awaited the treat in an almost comical manner. At that moment, a single sound that would haunt the lyrist for days to come, a loud electronic noise that could only be described as a wub, quickly flew in the direction to the left of her. As the green unicorn heard the wub, another sickening explosion sounded above her. A rather slimy piece of something had exploded and decided to give the unicorn a makeover. Daring to find out what the substance was, Lyra drew out her lengthy tongue to give it a taste test. One could easily see a look of happiness quickly shatter into one of pure horror as realization of what the substance was dawned on the poor unicorn. The object that had exploded was the delicious confection, and its blast had showered the unicorn with a chocolate rain.
Oh, so that's what the shiny thing did. It makes things explode.
Derpy's voice seemed relieved of confusion as she remained completely oblivious to the chocolate-covered mare in front of her. Random Ponyville roof, 2:50 p.m. Off a fair distance away, more specifically a house's roof in front of the gray and green ponies, an annoyed pair of bickering voices resonated.
How could you miss? She's only 20 yards away, screamed a light gray-coated mare to another pale white-coated mare.
In response to the screech, the pale-coated pony winced.
It's rather hard trying to aim this thing, Tavi,
was the meek retort given by the unicorn lying in a prone position.
Vinyl, it's a precise weapon. It has a thingy you call a scope, and the weapon itself is probably the only one in existence. You made it. You know how it works, how to use it, how to power it, and yet you miss.
The prim pony gave an exasperated sigh at the end of the statement, which only served to kill the unicorn's mood even more.
Well, when you put it that way,
the unicorn barely managed to let out a whisper as the stated fact sunk in.
Vinyl, give me the... whatever you're calling this thing.
Octavia pointed the metal chassis that lay motionless on the roof.
But Tavi, I don't think you could be able to control the kick it gives off. It could blow you literally away.
The white-coated unicorn's voice held only concern for the grayish mare.
It can't be that bad, and it's rather small. What's the worst that can happen?
You remember my base cannon experiment? Vinyl deadpanned. A brief moment of silence fell on the duo.
Oh, it still can't be that bad.
Octavia's voice grew a tad shaky, remembering in vivid detail the explosion and the sound of demoniacal contraption it caused. With a sigh, Vinyl handed the wub maker to the unprepared pony.
Have a shot if you think you can handle it. It should be easy for a master of music, right?
Unable to back down from a challenge, the nervousness of the grayish mare soon dissolved into a competitive flare.
I'll show you who can handle this petite weapon,
the cellist mumbled in an angry tone. With a rather forceful grab, the musical harbinger fell into the hooves of the master of the cello. With an angry flop, the gray pony fell into a prone position. Grabbing the weapon and making herself comfortable, Octavia settled into her position and looked into the piece of a magnifying glass.
Tavi?
Vinyl asked with a small trace of fear held inside.
Not now. I'm busy trying to find those two that you somehow missed,
hissed the prim pony back at her companion before going back to the tedious task of searching for the two ponies.
But that's the problem,
the bass-loving mare stated as her voice fell into a whisper.
What is so important that I have to stop searching for those two hiding fools? Hey, I'm talking to you.
Octavia's voice froze like ice at the sight of the two ponies standing behind them. Behind the gray and white duo stood another duo, a much angrier-looking duo. Well, as angry as a green unicorn and a wall-eyed Pegasus can get.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong,
the mint green unicorn said, hiding malice as a few chunky pieces of chocolate still stuck to her mane.
But I do believe you said we are fools, right?